You call me sovereign. It's not my name. It's simply what you settled on calling me once you realized you couldn't stop me from doing anything I wanted. I came to your world long ago, when your calendars still measured time in the reigns of kings and the phases of the moon. I've walked through your entire existence, the Stone Age, Bronze, Iron, your Middle Ages, the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, your technological awakening. That is why I remain. Despite your exhausting capacity for self-delusion and your endless insistence at self-annihilation, you are the only thing that is interesting in my otherwise excruciating eternity. In your early history, you had little to offer except your regional cuisines. I would come to your towns and cities and you offered me food because you believed I was a god. I suppose I am. I traveled a circuit based on my palate, returning to find piles of food you offered every day, even in my absence. For a long time there was no other value to you, and I can't say your cuisine was of any but the meagerest quality for the longest time. It was simply all there was, a diversion, not a delicacy. Some of you worshipped me. You wanted me to rule, as if you thought leading a colony of insects was appealing. Still, you created cultures that began to have value. Your stories, tales, customs, traditions, your arts, they are your source of value. But please, keep pretending you have some inborn worth if it keeps you producing. Such fantasies have their own kind of charm that amuse me in their own way. Speaking of customs, there was once a religion. It celebrated war, not as an avenue to your afterlife, but this one preached war for its own sake. Now, violence doesn't concern me, but war squanders too much potential. Even now, I stop your petty little wars not out of affection, not because I consider your fleeting lives sacred, but because I will not tolerate the destruction of the possibilities they represent. So this religion, I wiped it from the face of the earth, every believer, every descendant, every place their name was spoken, everyone who even knew of its existence, so that even its memory would not spark such a foolish idea again. But I kept their holy book. It's well written, rousing in a way only the truly deluded can achieve. I take it off my shelf sometimes to flip through it. It's beautiful, intricate, fragile, with the kind of ugliness that is at once somehow appealing. Like a wasp nest. Ah, beauty! I loved the Enlightenment. It was your best century thus far. Your ancient philosophers were far more sturdy, it is true, but what your Enlightenment philosophers built upon that noble foundation did what no one else had even once managed. They interested me. There was one philosopher in particular, a clever man, sharp-tongued. He believed foolishly, wisely, that philosophy could defeat me. We can't kill him, he told his fellows. But if we make him a friend of humanity, if we change the way he thinks, we win. The fascinating part was that he wasn't wrong. Nothing you can ever do will harm me. It was a pure thrill that he had figured out something I had never even considered. Philosophy is the one weapon that has any effect on me. So he tried to tame me, with questions, tried to make me kinder, more human, as if you could make a god a man. I loved it. I enjoyed the challenge. It was the first time in centuries I wanted to explain myself, to debate, to justify, even if only as a game. For the first time ever, I was being challenged on equal footing. I had never felt so alive, but alas, he died far too soon. A fever, I think, or cancer, something trivial, as happens with you. In the decades that came, I found myself sitting beside his grave, arguing with the silence over items we had never quite resolved to either of our satisfaction. I made you build a mausoleum around it, not out of honor, because such things do not matter to the dead. I would have, in fact, if I believed he would have cared. But no, I made you build that monument to silence, so that I may converse with his memory in private. You need not be privy to the thoughts of God. Not long after, your Industrial Revolution completely undid the humane philosophies that preceded it. The horrors you enacted on yourselves, and still do, in the name of consumption, tore my philosopher friend's arguments to bitter shreds. Your revolution disappointed his hopes at every turn, and that infuriated me almost enough to topple your towers of industry when your callousness towards each other allowed me to win every single one of our debates without so much as a word. I wanted to keep them going, you see, a mental puzzle to return to from time to time, but your greed took that joy from me. That is why I kill some of your CEOs now. When I see that they take more value from you than they produce, I make the corrections necessary to keep your civilization from stagnating like it once had under feudalism. Still, the things that you made, wonderful. And what happened next, when you harnessed electricity? Glorious, glorious, glorious. Over the years, I've sorted some of you into categories. There are my favored: entertainers, artists, musicians, those who bring me joy. I give the greatest of your entertainers this title to make certain they are free to take roles they wish. You pressure them into focusing their creative energies into that with only monetary value instead of true worth. I will not stand for such waste. Then there are my chosen: philosophers, thinkers, creators, people who are useful, people who add to this world instead of merely doing a good job of appearing to. When I name someone chosen, their lives change. Usually for the better. I still remember when one of my chosen ended himself as a protest to my power. He said in his dying words that I cannot control him. And he was right. I still remember him fondly, the one man who successfully rejected me. And that, the possibility of defeat, is why many of my chosen are now video game developers. In reality, I cannot be touched, but in the virtual domain, my strength means nothing. Video games, bright lights, digital simplicity. But in a video game, I can be defeated. There is very little beyond my control, almost nothing that, if I exert merely the slightest effort, I cannot bend to my will. But with a video game, even if I put all my focus and concentration into winning, I may yet still lose to someone who is more skilled than me. I play under many names. If you play them, perhaps you've beaten me. If you have, I'll remember you. I've made many developers my chosen, those who build worlds inside the world, but occasionally I make one who defeated me my chosen as well. The man who beat God, they call him. I love that. It gives you hope that you can reach beyond me. You cannot, but if you believe, you will keep creating more and more interesting things. They, the gamers, the developers, are humanity's true priests now. Their stories are the ones your children believe in. Are they not? And when a game is truly great, when it makes me forget, for a moment, that I am alone, it is my beloved irony that in games, you too can be gods. I've seen atrocities, but why would I weep at one insect tearing apart another? What I despise is pointless, stupid waste. A brilliant scientist murdered because a politician does not want the truth revealed. A poet silenced by poverty. A child with gifts that could change your world broken by neglect. Understand that the useful among you become my chosen. They matter. The rest of you merely enable them and possess the possibility of producing more. I do not age. I do not need, but I do become bored. That is the only thing that threatens me, that threatens you, because you have arrived at a society that no longer understands the meaning of value. You've replaced creation with production, ideas with simulacra. You've mistaken value for currency. And this obsession with your currency instead of worth, it's enough to drive me mad. If it continues, I may decide to start you over. After all, why allow a civilization to continue if it does not create value? It may be better to delete the majority of you infected with this disease of currency and mold your culture into understanding what truly matters. Because, you see, I am not here to rule over you. I am simply here because there is nowhere else. That's why I warn you now to begin once more to create what is worth keeping. not what feeds your hollow greed. Because, after all, I will not abide pointless, stupid waste. This is your one and final warning. This road you travel now is a dead end. Keep at it, and dead is exactly where you will end.